Hello and welcome to Vines of Ivy Alumni Stories, where we catch up with our previous students and see how they're doing. I'm your host, Ivan Hernandez, and today we have Jennette Huesca. And Jennette has some interesting stories about her travels recently, so we're going to get to know that. Jennette, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. We really appreciate you doing this for us as an alum. We are super proud of you. But let's go ahead and start with a brief introduction where where you're from, what your journey from your high school to Ivy Tech was, and then maybe go from there.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Well, I went to Ivy Tech in 2010 to 2012. I took my transfer credits to go to IU. I've always wanted to be a teacher, and so I thought Ivy Tech would be a good first step as I transition into college. The idea of having to move somewhere far away from my family was kind of daunting. And so Ivy Tech offered a great opportunity where I was able to still go to college, get a college experience, but still be close to home. And so I did that for 2 years. I got to meet some amazing people. I was part of the Latino Student Union. I got to meet so many wonderful friends, and you as well. Thank you. And I got my first office job as well, working at Ivy Tech in the student life office.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I worked. That was great because it got me like around the campus and I got to meet a lot more people that way. And so like those 2 years were amazing. I got to meet wonderful people, start my college career, as well as get excited for teaching. And so after being there for 2 years, I traveled on to IU Bloomington, and that was great. Did that, graduated. I started teaching in Indianapolis, Indiana, for IPS there, Indianapolis Public Schools. I'm an ESL teacher, which stands for English as a Second Language, which is I've always been passionate about doing that. Not only being a teacher, but being able to help students that speak another language. And so I myself, I'm an EL student, and so I got to learn Spanish first, and then as I transitioned into school, I got to learn 2 languages. And so I was very lucky where I went to a bilingual school. And I wanted to make sure as a teacher that I incorporate the students' background and their language and their culture. And so that was kind of my push as to be an ESL teacher. And that's what I got to do for the first 3 years of my career. And then after that, I decided to teach abroad, and that was very exciting and scary as well. Teaching abroad, something I thought about doing maybe when I retired, maybe like Peace Corps, something along those lines. But opportunity came knocking, and I went to China, and I was teaching there for the last 2 years.
So going back to, and I definitely want to talk about your experience in China, but going back to, you mentioned you were involved with LSU. What are some of the more memorable things or things that you use to build into going into IU Bloomington?
Oh, I think one of the biggest things was making new friends and being in uncomfortable situations where you get to open up and try to be yourself and meet others with similar interests, and be able to connect with others as well. And so that I learned, and I got to practice that when I was in Ivy Tech as well as LSU. And then when I went off to IU, it wasn't as scary going off a totally new campus, not knowing anybody. And so I definitely, I give the credit to my time in Ivy Tech that I was for letting me just not be as shy and be more open.
I do remember you being pretty shy, and you've definitely broken out of that. We talked before about, just getting out of that comfort zone and things like that. Did you see a big transition from Ivy Tech to Bloomington as far as academic rigor or just how instructors, professors acted or anything like that?
Honestly, not so much. I think the biggest change was just that I was living on campus.
Mm.
That I had the access to campus 24 hours a day. Teacher wise, I mean, I had some great teachers at Ivy Tech that I can still remember. Um, and at IU, I can't, I mean, I do have teachers that I remember, but not as memorable as Ivy Tech. Maybe because it was like my coming out of high school, and that
Mhm.
impression that some of these professors had on me was a lot greater than later on as I was specializing in my area.
Mhm.
But oh man, like I think that that was the biggest one, just being on campus, just getting to maneuver my way around. I mean, the campus in IU is beautiful,
Oh yeah.
and Ivy Tech as well. Like, and I've been to a couple of different. I'm actually right now in Ivy Tech in Anderson.
Oh, are
Um,
you?
yeah, yeah. I was like,
Taking advantage of that alumni card, huh?
yeah, yeah. I was like, hey, I used to be a student.
Well, that's great. Well, you had just gotten back from China teaching. Talk to us about that experience.
Let's see. A part of me, it feels a little culture shock coming back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the way of life is very different, and just the pace. And I mean, I love being back. I get to see my family. I haven't seen them for like a year and a half. But I honestly, if I can be honest, like I like the way of life in China. Everything is so much easier.
How so?
like like public transportation, like
Oh,
so
okay.
easy to get around, very cheap. The food, delicious. You have access to all different kinds of food. I was living in Shanghai, and so it's a big like huge city, and so you can have all different kinds of food. It's so big that after living there for 2 years, I honestly can't say I like discovered half of the city because it's
Wow.
so good. I loved it. It got me a chance to be able to travel as well.
Mm.
Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I didn't get to travel too much with other countries, but I was able to travel within China, and so I got to see like all different parts of China. It was gorgeous. It's amazing. I would definitely consider going back. If not back there, then go to a different country. And because I have been doing that already,
Mhm.
it doesn't seem as scary.
So is this program, is it like where you have kind of an enlistment, so to speak, where you do 2 years and then you go back, or is it's just like a regular job where you're hired, you can be there forever if you want?
So it depends on like what school you go to. So I got contracted through a private school there, just a 1 year contract. They pretty much cover everything for you. Like they do the airfare, the housing. I didn't have a lot of bills to pay at all, and money's great.
Mhm.
That was a plus. Um, you could do 1 year, you can do like a couple years. I was actually very fortunate, um, because I was one of the only actual teachers in the school, and so that gave me like an advantage.
Uh-huh.
A lot of expats, people that are living there,
Mhm.
um, have studied a different degree. Like I met a lot of people in business that received a business degree or accounting or marketing, and they had just decided, hey, let me try teaching abroad. And so I I was one of the few people with an actual teaching degree, which allowed me actually the second year I was there to be a leader, to a lot of the foreign teachers. So I was
Okay.
actually teaching them um, different like
Pedagogy
skills.
and things like that.
Yeah, like all
Wow.
these amazing skills of
Uh-huh.
like how to be the best teacher you could be.
Wow. How were so what grade did you teach?
I was working with kindergarten.
Okay.
Um, I've never worked with such a young age group, um, which helped teach me patience. Love them, very cute. I'm going to miss them. Yeah, it was a wonderful grade to work with.
And so the classes were in English then?
No, they were not. So I
Oh.
was in the classroom full time, and
Uh-huh.
so I was the one that was always speaking English, but
Mhm.
for them, it's the English as a foreign language. And so I would have a couple of lessons here and there, but it was taught in both Chinese and English. And so um, it's their first years going into school, and so we want to definitely keep improving their Chinese as well as starting to incorporate some English
Mhm.
into their schooling, because later on they will have to be bilingual, fully bilingual in both languages.
Yeah, and that's something that we don't really do too much in the States, which I wish we would, you know. But that's great that they're introducing a foreign language to a population that's not that young. So that's great. Um, did you work with any other teachers from the area, or you were just kind of the only Hoosier there hanging out teaching?
I met some people from the U.S. um, from all parts of the U.S., Pennsylvania, Texas, um, California, and then I also got to meet a lot of people from other countries. Like
Mhm.
I met a lot of South Africans, people from the UK. It was just great because it's a mix of people. You get to meet. I've met people from South Korea, from the Philippines. It's just, and people of all these people that I've met, what I love about them is that they really inspired me to like teach abroad and live abroad, because most of them have done that all their lives. And so it's kind of like help pushing me, hey, maybe I should do something else, or kind of just deciding to see what I would do in the future. And so great role models to look up to.
Did you graduate from Crawfordsville High School?
Yes,
So when
Crawfordsville High
you
School.
when you were studying in Crawfordsville, did you ever think you're like, I'm gonna teach abroad, and you know what? I'm gonna do it again.
No. I just knew I wanted to get out of Crawfordsville. It's such a small
That's a far
town.
way to get out.
I was like, I want to get out of there. But now, like, I like the small town. It's peaceful. But I also, what attracts me to big cities as well is just being able to travel. I think it's my main goal is to keep wherever I end up. I want to still travel.
Even had you not gone to China, is that travel bug something that you developed, or you've always had it?
I think I've had it. I want to believe that I've had it, but I've definitely like slowly got up to that point. Like I think the very first trip I ever took by myself, I went to Las Vegas and I got to see the Grand Canyon. And I was like, if I can do this, I can do more. And so I just started traveling around the US, did a lot of solo trips. I wish I could bring people with me, but it's sometimes it's difficult to bring family or friends due
Mhm.
to scheduling or money issues. And so I got to start doing that. And then I was like, okay, now next step is abroad. So let me go to another country. Without being Mexico, because I've been to Mexico many times.
Yeah.
But I was like, let me
You
try
don't even consider
some
that
other
another
places.
country sometimes because all your family's there. That's how
Right.
that's how I was. I used to talk about how we would go to Mexico every summer, and people were like, "You went to Mexico every summer?" Well, it's not like a vacation.
I love Mexico and I would definitely teach there. But I wanted to go to another country. And so I was like, let me go to Spain. So I went to Spain.
Oh, wow.
I got to see Iceland and
Wow.
I Ireland and the UK. And then I was like, okay, what continent haven't I gone? And so that's where I decided to go next is Asia to go teach.
What did your family think about all this traveling?
Uh, they weren't so happy about it. They're always worried,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
especially my mom. She always worries. But as long as I keep in touch and I let them know what's going on, they're okay.
Great. Now, were they supportive when you were going through school and things like that?
Very,
Good.
very. They definitely wanted me to go to college.
Good.
Um, they weren't pushy as to what to graduate in, but they knew they wanted a better life for me than what they've had. And so they wanted us to get an education. And so I was the first one in my family to go to college. And then I'm the first one to graduate from college as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, what advice would you give to a prospective student and a current student, that maybe you should have done or you did that, had helped build your career?
My biggest advice would be to take risks. Even if you're scared, even if it's uncomfortable, that's the only way that you're going to grow. and figure out what you really like and who you are as a person, is to be able to be in those situations where you're allowing yourself to change. And so as they're deciding where they're going to go, or if they're going to study what they're going to study, or where they're going to end up, just keep that in mind, because nobody has the answers, but as long as you're willing to give it a try, that's what's important.
That's great. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time, but I really appreciate you just taking a few moments out of your life and really sharing your experiences with us. Again, that, through some research, we found that that's what people want to hear from us more than anything, is just what the alumni are doing. And, you certainly made us proud, becoming a teacher and then teaching in IPS and then, going to China. I mean, doesn't seem like, the traditional route for teachers and things like that. But we're very proud of you. And just getting out of your comfort zone, I think it's a great accomplishment. And I saw you just kind of grow from this high school student, and then through your Facebook posts and seeing your pictures of you going to China, and just, I'm like, wow. I mean, I was very impressed.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So thank you. Any final words or anything you want to say before we sign off?
Definitely, people attend Ivy Tech. It's amazing.
It's my job easier. Thank you. All right. Well, it was great to hear from you, Jennette. Again, we are very proud of you. Keep up the good work. Keep us posted. Post stuff on social media so we can see, your successes, and just keep in touch with us.
Will do. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you. Have a good day.